Excuse me. Me. What up, though? Salam alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kef halik. Shakbarik. Habibti.
Hi.
What up, though? Welcome to the hottest marriage show known to man. We are here going to talk about a little bit of everything. And at this point, we are going to talk about those uncommon conversations that you have in your head that you probably don't have with other friends. And maybe we can give you some perspectives on how we attack different things that happen in our household to have a more polished product in the end, even from the relationship you have with each person in the house, including the little dog, if you have one. But good afternoon, Du. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's good. So how have you been doing with your journey of healthy living?
So I've been drinking this water. I've been trying my best. I've been drinking more than 64 ounces.
She's been averaging? Yes, definitely.
At max 96 ounces. And I hate the bathroom. I hate this water bottle. I love water. But you love
the water.
I said I would say I love water for 30 days. So that's
today's probably day one.
No, I said it the day you asked me to. So
I know, you were supposed to do it 30 consecutive days. So I asked you earlier.
One. I love you, water. So there's that. But I've been watching. There are a couple of women. One, her body has always been amazing. One of my friends. And she was talking about some struggles she was having. Her mother was recently diagnosed, and she went into caregiver mode and had to kind of let herself as a person go, the things that she loved to do for herself. And so she had gained some weight. And she got on this program, and she looks amazing. And then I had another friend who, she had a mind body. And all of a sudden, bang, pacow, she comes online on social media and posts this picture, and she looks like unbelievably, incredibly awesome. And,
for sure.
I'm still teetering between those thought distortions of saying to myself, I would never be able to look like that.
Well, you don't say never because
I know,
those things don't really exist in this household.
In my head, that's what I'm saying.
But not even in our head.
But there are other people whose body, now my one friend that I talked about first, her body has never looked like mine. She's always looked amazing. But the second friend, she had a mind body like me. Like a few years ago, we saw her and I was like, yeah, I know what you mean. And she was like, yeah, I got to get a hold of this. And then we haven't seen each other for a few years. And all of a sudden it's like, I looked like her and now look at her. So why can't I look like that? Like I'm not.
I think it's a different level of dedication. And also she has a wonderful mate who can support that growth. That's what he comes from, that cloth.
Oh, okay.
He enjoy like
I mean, yeah, he looks great
too. We have to learn to become like that.
Yeah, and I just I'm just in the moment where I'm just trying to figure out, is that really something? I know that physically, your body can do that if you have the dedication and the willpower to push through and just stick to the program that you set for yourself. But it's just like, is this the 51st time that I'm gonna fail, or is this the first time that I'm gonna succeed? You know what I'm saying?
Well, can you say that out of all of the times that you've legitimately tried, that you've gave 100% effort? And when I say 100% effort,
I can't.
So how does it disappoint you? Because you haven't even put your effort in. Like, to me, you're the kid that says, I didn't study. So just if you fail it, it's an excuse to say, that's why I didn't get 100.
No.
I didn't. It was boring.
No, I would never say that.
No,
I own the fact that I don't have that follow through.
No, I'm saying, why don't you put the effort? You just said, I know that I don't put 100% effort. Why isn't it that important?
I think part of it is just, you're telling yourself, it's just gonna be just like the other times. So are you really gonna push? But the other times I didn't push 100%. So I guess that's something for me to continue to
So that's
ponder
that.
on.
Listen to this, everybody. Now, this person, I don't know when had she ever been at 100%, but I nicknamed her does everything well. How long ago?
Except this.
No, but I'm saying, like, how are you able to do so many different things this well, and you're not even at where you should be? You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like once you figure that formula out, it's not about failing. It's about you believing that when you do get there, that you're capable of doing other things. I don't think you believe the results is worth actually pursuing. Like you say, I love the idea of it looking like that, but is it enough to get you going? Because I'll tell you, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, but I would like one of those bodies, but I don't care enough for it. You know what I'm saying? I just care if I'm in shape and I'm healthy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pass out.
But I'm not even checking those boxes of being in good health. Like, I don't want definition and cut and all that other stuff. I just want to be able to move around and feel comfortable in my body. I feel like when I look back at pictures of myself, I can see that, I was capable of being that size, and then all of a sudden I just wasn't. And it's not that I want to be skinny. I just want to be, one of the things that I always look back on. So in this program that I was working in, it was called, it was asking you to figure out your big picture. Like, what is it you want? What is it you want? What would your life look like if you had it? You know what I'm saying? Put that together. That's your big picture of why are you doing this, right? So in my head, like, I want to lose weight. Why do I want to lose weight? When we went to Sri Lanka, you remember, first of all, we climbed 2 mountains. We climbed this thing called Lion Rock, right? And so we climbed Lion Rock, and this is high, y'all. And we had to, like, climb up. They literally put, like, fenced in paths. They like embedded them into the side of the mountain. We did not go up natural trails the entire time. And so, we're pushing to get up there. And when we get up there, it's a platform, and then you can go further up to where a castle used to stand. And so when we got up to the first platform, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so tired. It was so hard for me to get up there. And then they're like old people on this path with us, and they're not looking as winded as me. There was a double amputee with prosthetics on that was up there and was not winded. And I was like, come on. And being a amputee doesn't mean that you wouldn't be, but I'm saying they were coming up there and they were making it work. You know what I'm saying? There were people who were coming up, like, when I say that the path was not easy, and I can't remember what the bottom part of the prosthetics were, but, like, we were going up rocks, then we were going up, like, stairs, like metal stairs. Then it was all kinds of things. It was rocky terrain, y'all. So we coming up here, there was an old woman, there was a little person that was also, like, I'm watching all of this because I'm like, there's no reason why I'm this winded, right? And I'm watching the other people coming up behind me. And I was like, Kanika, like, for real? Then I'm, like, watching as my husband and my children are going up to the place where there's a platform. And y'all, what did I say to this man? I said, just go on without me. Just go on.
Oh, no, this isn't Lion Rock.
Yeah, it was. No, because that's the second one. So then finally I catch my breath and I was like, look, all these people are making stuff work because they want to make it work. Come on, Kanika. So I climb up to the part where there's the palace, and I'm, like, in love with it, right? So then the next day we climb up to see a waterfall. So we're climbing up. Now this is for real. There are no real stairs.
None.
So we're like climbing over rocks, going up, whatever. So we get like halfway up, and again I said, "Go on without me." And I just sat there and I waited. They went up there. They saw the waterfall from the top. They came down. So we start walking down.
No, but do you remember though, like before we started walking, I told you, I was like, I'm glad you stopped because we were nowhere near.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So much further away.
So look, we weren't even in our guide. He kept saying, we're almost there.
Yes.
So we're walking up there. John is literally walking behind me with his hand on my butt, pushing me up. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I sit there and I wait. When we're on our way back down, yeah, we had to climb over these. It looks like if somebody had broken up a bunch of concrete and just started sticking them in the ground in all these different directions. So we're climbing on these rocks. I probably feel like the oldest, most coordinated, athletic person in the world. And it's in slow motion. So I'm falling. I'm like, oh. I done skinned my knee. I rolled my ankle. It was and we still had a ways to get down. And so John had to help me get down so we could get into the van and get back to the bed and breakfast. I had ice on my knee all night. I had a hard time getting through the airport the next day. And I was like, and I just keep thinking about that. And I'm like, if you wouldn't have been carrying around all this extra weight, if you would have cared more about how well your body functioned, you could have. Our kids were so young. It was like Dallas's birthday. What was he? He turned 8, not 8. Yeah, it was 16. Dallas turned 8. Day was about to turn 10.
Yeah.
And these little people were climbing up mountains like no problem, climbing up waterfalls, no problem. John, 2 years older than me, no problem. John to the point where he could push a whole entire me and himself, and he still kept going. And when I sit there and I think about myself and I look at pictures of myself, I'm just like, that's not enough. Like, it was embarrassing and it was sad. And I kept thinking to myself, we want to travel the world and we want to do different things. And my body is not capable of doing everything that my family is. And I don't want to be the person that has us sitting on the sideline. I want to be in on it, you know what I'm saying? And so that is my big picture, but there's something else that makes me feel like I'm incapable of achieving it. But I can see people doing it all around me, but I can't figure it out.
Well, you do know you're more than capable of doing it, right? Look at this dude. You got to think about that,
sir. Kingston, no.
Like saying, like honestly saying, like for you to say that, for you to consider there may be a possibility for you to not get over it. It's like, do we believe that we are what we believe, what we say? Remember, like we were telling Darius, like, okay, if you say that, then so why do you feel like you can try to tell people not to say these things or feel this way, but you say those things to yourself?
Yeah, I really don't know.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that until you just said it. I'm like, you really don't believe how great you are.
Well, usually the things that I do well, they come naturally to me, and this is the thing that gives me the most pushback. So I think that, you feel like even Superman has kryptonite. So
could you just think that maybe you have a problem?
Yeah. I have an eating problem. I have a drinking problem.
I don't think you have a drinking problem.
Well, when I say a drinking problem, I'm saying that I definitely, just like I would talk about, I like to eat when I'm having fun. Like, I like to incorporate food. I like to incorporate alcohol as well. Like, I'm not a fall down drunk. I won't get in the car and just be driving around crazy. But when I feel like I have a drinking problem because I understand that I do better when I don't have alcohol because that's that added sugar. I understand I lose weight better than that. without it. But at the same time, y'all, it's fall. Eggnog is coming, and Evans Williams eggnog. I wanted it so bad, y'all. It took everything within me to walk through Meyer and not grab some, because I I associate that with my relaxation and my enjoyment, and I have to disconnect
because you're not
it
really
somehow.
happy in your everyday.
Well, I don't think that. I think that okay, well, whatever.
Reason why I say it, because from a person who used to drink for real,
yeah,
I know that I used to drink for so many different reasons, but when I look back at it, it just allowed me to not be on, be responsible for my like anything. So as long as people like know that I can drink, it just allowed me to F up a little more.
Well, with me, it's just the things I enjoy, the things that I incorporate or associate with having fun and relaxing, tend to include food and drinks. And so, if my relaxation time includes two things that are going to possibly stand in the way of me achieving this goal, like that's my constant battle.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm always on this whole, but it's time for me to relax. I want to relax.
I'm saying that was my form of relaxation also, because of, like when you're at work, like the code switching aspect of it. When when you go to work and you can't speak a certain way and you have to present yourself. So when I got home, even like you said, that we wear this mask for everybody outside, and we come home and we just kind of like give whoever in the house to hell.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I never thought about any of that stuff until you started to like tell me these things for me to look back and be like, oh, I didn't never looked at it like that. So when I see you say I enjoy drinking, like, yeah, I get it, but it's a level of freedom that you have that you don't have when you're not drinking. That it's not being. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know what it is to help you get that. I can tell you, for me, that's the reason why I don't need drinking anymore, because I have a lot more patience for what's going on around me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think anybody really stress. I don't. You know what? And to be honest, this is probably. It's just something that I have to kind of sit and really ponder to figure out those little things, because I don't know. Yeah, maybe just some different rewiring about what I do, what is considered relaxing, because it's just not working for me. So, but my water is up. I'll just say, circling back around, my water is up. So
I think
one step at a time.
You remember? Oh yeah, I was gonna bring it back to code switching, because I was like, let's talk about something.
Yeah, right. Code switching. So this is what I've learned, is that we taught our kids are definitely. So you know how we were raised and we lived in a certain lifestyle, and then we got our educations, we went into our different careers, we met different people, and we learned how to code switch in different environments, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's a part of that our kids didn't get, because we kept them very, very sheltered.
Yeah.
And then
but not even intentionally, though.
No, it wasn't. So we had them in primarily African American school environments.
Yes.
Before we left, but they were charter school. It was a Christian charter school. Before that, it was a church where they went to pre-K. And right before we left, we put them in public school in the area we were in, which was the SWATs of Atlanta. So they've seen black people, but they haven't seen a wide variety of black people, to know all of us. And so then we go overseas, and they're meeting all these different people. And when they came back, I was telling John the other day, I made sure that we had discussions about the political climate and the racial climate of America. So when we came back, my son understood and my daughter understood, as much as I could make them understand, that there may be some disparities or inequalities, inequities that they might face. And so, but what we didn't teach them is how to code switch amongst us. They don't really, and we always talk about, not all black people are the same. It's true. But you got those cousins. What is it like, what's that new show, BMF, and they have that meme going around where it's the one group where it's your cousins and they were all dressed up in fur and stuff, and then the other cousins were like the hood folks. Yeah. So in our family, like I have family like that. I have certain family members that they fit a certain description, and then I got another side of the family members that they are completely different. And so when I'm around certain cousins, I know that we might talk about certain things or certain music that they might listen to that I wasn't supposed to listen to around them, because my mom let me, but that didn't mean that their parents let them. Yeah. It's a lot of different types of black people. But when our kids came back, I didn't really tell them how to.
Yeah, and to now I wasn't back, and we never thought about it. This is like the type of things that I'm saying. I love what we're trying to do is this conversation we're about to introduce. Yeah. Because what she's going to lead into is. I think she is our son. Yeah. Riding on the bus. Yeah. City bus. Like, so now this is when they first came back, and actually no, when they first came back, they were attending a school that was predominantly European looking. Right. And
yeah, it was like it was predominantly white, and then there were some incidents that took place that I felt were I felt they could have been read as racial, and I wasn't comfortable. And when I discussed it with the people about proper procedures or proper ways in which they could address the situation, they were like, yeah, of course. And then nothing was happening. So Dallas was like, can I leave this school? So I said, yeah. So I put him on the South Side in a school. It was a charter school, predominantly African-American. There were people I went to high school with that were there at the school as teachers and counselors. And so I felt like I was putting my baby in a good place. Yes, yeah. Sure. The thing about this place, though, is he would have to ride the city bus. So I'm putting my then 11-year-old.
10.
Wait, no. It was
12.
Yeah, but it wasn't until February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was 11, and he was like, yes, I'll ride the city bus. Like, he really, and so what I would do is I would take him with me downtown, and then I would sit at the city bus place. I rode the bus with him multiple times, so he knew where to get off, where to get on. And so I would sit, shut up. I would be at the bus station downtown with him until he got on the bus and left. And then I would come and meet him at the bus station. So as soon as he got off, I was there. And so he gets on the bus one day, and there's, he's by himself, and this man says, "What's up, little nigga?" And he didn't respond. Number one, because I said, don't talk to no strangers. Number two, because I don't think he understood that the man was either
being friendly.
Yeah, he didn't understand that the man was being friendly. And so he didn't respond. And so the man, what did I tell you the man said? He was like,
F you little bitch. Or
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, F you, you little bitch. And there was a woman on the bus, and she said, leave him alone. You don't know if his parents said don't talk to strangers, leave him alone. So he gets off the bus, goes to school, comes back to me. I pick him up at the end of the day, and I ask him about his day. And as soon as he started explaining to me what happened, he starts crying. And it made me feel so bad, because I put him on that bus, And I didn't prepare him for every type of our people. You can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't. And
it's look, check it out. Look, it's tough because you think that you're prepared to introduce your kids for the world, but no matter what, you're not going to ever be prepared.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the conversation didn't originally sound like that. It was like more so like this grown man was like bullying this little kid. But after you start thinking about it, I was like, let's think about this. What kind of man would act like that? So it was a form of disrespect because the way Dallas had never heard that terminology used as a forming of greeting or salutation.
Right.
So for him, like if the guy would have said, "Hey, how are you doing?" He may have smiled or something, but when he heard "What's up, little nigga," Dallas was like, I cannot talk to somebody would call me that. And it's like I'm thinking like, dang, like wow, like our kids have no clue that people that look like us, we use this language, and it's not a negative aggression.
Yeah, because we don't talk to our friends like that in front of him, and our friends don't speak that way about us. The other thing that got me is I never thought to educate him on the use of the term because it just never crossed my mind where we were. I just knew that when we came back, I didn't want anybody saying X, Y, and Z. He knew of the word, but he knew that it was a negative word. And, I think that he just really thought white people would say it to you and they can't say it. But this black man was saying it to him, and it was like saying what's up and then following up with that. And then to think that just a few months before, when he had started at the other school that's predominantly white, he had some white friends, and the white friends were saying wigger. And Dallas wasn't paying attention. He didn't know what they were talking about. And then they said, Dallas, don't worry, we're not saying the N-word, but you can. You can say it, but we just can't say it. And when he came home, he was like, what is the N-word? And so I told him out, and he was like, oh. He was like, and I said, why would you ask me that? So he tells me the situation. He didn't know people called it the N-word. And he didn't understand why these kids were trying to explain to him why they were able to say this other word, wigger. And he was like, what? So it was like one of those moments where the world was teaching my kid, and I thought I was covering all my bases.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy because just listening to you say it, it's like they were teaching my son the rules of the game that they automatically thought he's supposed to know. Yeah. And they trying to ease into his game that he's not even playing.
Like, don't worry about us, Dallas. We're still a friend.
Yes.
Not a foe. But I mean, at the same time, we didn't prepare him.
We didn't.
But if Darius had been on that bus.
Yeah, so Darius, my nephew, and this was so crazy. We just spoke about this, and it was like, he would have definitely like gave him a nod, like, what up? You know what I'm saying? Because he's heard the terminology, the language, the body, the mannerisms. You know what else we're about to talk about?
What?
Listen to this. This is how sheltered our kids are. Take them back. Let's go back before I came. And Darius was here where we lived on the other side.
Right.
And they got to hear this.
The old lady?
Yes.
Okay. So Day and Darius are riding bikes, right? And Darius is bigger than Dallas, but he was riding Dallas's bike. He was only up for like 30 days or whatever. And so he's riding Dallas's bike, and it looks a little small for him. This older black woman, and it's going to become apparent why I said her race at the same time. So this older black woman comes up to them and was like, that bike looks small. I have a bike. I live right over there. If you come with me, then I could just, I can give you that bike. So then Day is like, okay. Now this is, Darius said, no. And he said, come on, Day, let's go now. And then she was like, but he said, no, let's go now. So they come to the house, and Darius was like, this woman was trying to take us. And I was like, what happened? And he says, this old woman, And he was like, I think she on drugs. And she was trying to she was trying to get us to come get a bite. And then Day said, no. She was like, she was a nice older woman. And she was just trying to be nice to us because the bike looked small. So I said, okay, well, Darius, why do you feel like she was on drugs? He said it was the way she was talking. He said the way she was moving and the way she was talking, I know she was on drugs, Auntie. And I told Day, let's go. And Day tried to argue with me. And I told her, no, let's go. So I see later on, the woman is walking around in the neighborhood. And he said, that's her right there. Now I'm looking all the way across the courtyard. And I'm like, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with her. I mean, she's a small, old black woman, right? But she looked like she on a mission. She's stomping through the way, but I'm not thinking anything of it. So the reason why I say that it was an older black woman is because I tend to teach my kids that we take care of each other. We love each other. We don't have to be afraid of black people because black people in and of ourselves are not dangerous people. And I don't want the messaging, as much as possible, I want the messaging about us and who we are to be positive.
For sure.
But this is where I missed the mark. So I'm walking one day and the woman walks past me. She's stomping the yard. Do you hear me? She's walking real fast. And the way she was walking, she was leaning forward and I heard her talking to herself. Now, listening to the tone of her voice, I was like, okay. But then it was like, the thing she was talking about, I was like, Darius knew what he was talking about. She sounded like something wasn't right? And so I had seen her before and said hello to her. She talked to me about, but in that moment, I saw what he saw.
I'm gonna tell you, this is what really happened, okay? Because my wife is one of the sheltered kids also. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Now, that's not how it happened. I'll tell you how she ended up realizing about Darius when when I came back in town, we were walking and Kanika was like, that is the lady. I said, oh, that's why Darius said that. Because, and then automatically I was like, we didn't seen crackheads before. Like, look, check this out. When Kanika said I looked across the thing and it was just this old lady. Like, Kanika doesn't really, she's not exposed enough. And it's so crazy. I'm laughing at this, but it just shows you how sad that we are aware of when people are completely off due to drugs. And my wife was like, okay, I can understand. No, I'm telling you, when I saw this lady, there was no doubt in my mind
it wasn't
that this woman was on some type of substance.
There was no doubt. Like, he said it immediately. And I was like, well, I needed to hear her talk. I didn't really realize.
Look, check this out immediately.
Well, and I grew up in a neighborhood where we had a lot of old black ladies who helped us and, say, hey, baby, and all this. Like, and to me, it's like, you want to talk. It was basically what it is every time I think I'm covering my bases, there's some bases that I'm not covering. And so in that case, like, for Dallas to know, like, in this case, okay, this dude is trying to speak to me. All I have to do is nod. I don't have to have a conversation or whatever. He didn't know that. For Day to be able to look and be like, okay, this might not be a safe situation. Just because she's old and she's black and she's just walking around or whatever, to be able to understand what's going on around her. I just missed that mark. And this is one of the reasons, not the only, but it's one of the reasons that I love Darius being around our kids, because our kids can teach him some things, but Darius definitely can give them that kid perspective lesson, and he's very protective.
Very.
So when that all went down, he wasn't leaving without Day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was in the same neighborhood. And it was this young black guy who was talking to him, and Dallas came home and he said Darius was talking to a stranger, period. and I was like, okay, so what the guy looked like? He was young, he was black. I've never seen him before. And he was telling Darius about how he coaches for basketball and he could, help Darius out. Darius was talking. Now, see, this is Darius. Now, this is a young black guy who's talking about basketball. This wasn't no old lady with crackhead tendencies. So in my head, I'm thinking, you don't know if somebody, I've never seen a man working with kids in this complex. So him just coming up and talking to a kid, and I've never seen him, it made me feel like it was a creep that was just around somewhere. And so I was like, you don't talk to strangers, blah, 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 blah. So in that instance, I felt like Darius could have got snatched up and I wouldn't have known what to do. Dallas came back telling me it, but Dallas, to him, it was like, we didn't know that dude. I've never seen that dude and I've lived here this whole time. And Darius was talking to him.
Can I give y'all another look? This is another instance of my wife being sheltered. Darius definitely knew who he was talking to because my wife told me about this guy, right?
Yeah, I saw
him. And like,
later.
listen to this. Like, my wife does not pay attention to anything that she doesn't need to. So this man, she didn't see him because she never looked for him. But after I saw this man, I saw him several times.
Jogging. He was jogging in circles
regularly.
Like
so I'm like, what is she not seeing?
Anyway, so when I finally met him, the guy was really nice. He ended up knowing like people because I'm from here. So he ended up knowing people I knew or whatever. But he was like, yeah, I saw him and I was blah, 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 blah. And this is what happened. We were walking and Darius was riding his bike with me and the guy was there and Darius rode by and the guy said something to him and Darius didn't speak. And he said, he was like, and he looked at me, he laughed. He said, he ain't speaking to me now. And I said, no, because I told him not to. Because I told him don't speak to strangers. And he was like, kind of, I could tell he was about to be offended. And I said, I'm going to be honest. I've never seen you here. And he started talking about working with kids. And I don't really know, what that looks like. So, because I've never seen you or kids out here. So I was like, better safe to not speak to him. Now, Darius will follow an instruction. So, because he was with me. He definitely didn't say a word. But as I was talking to the guy, I realized, he really did. I had just never seen him. And so I was like, okay. So I told Darius, I said, it's fine to talk to him. But that was also me. Like, I do recognize Darius recognizes danger. Like, but I have to be extra scared for kids.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. We're only scared of them because they're not circumspect of their surroundings. And you don't know what it looks like anyway. You would prefer them to not just keep their head down and keep it moving. Like,
I want them to be aware of the things going on around them.
Well, I'm saying in retrospect, if you look at the last two situations, that the person that you're most worried about is the most knowledgeable in both situations.
Right. Yeah. But that's because I've spent all this time raising these other two.
No, I get it.
Environment. And I know that Darius I know he's seen a lot. But in the instance, the second one, I just felt like it was a stranger talking about working with kids and he can come and hang with him anytime. And I've never seen this person around and I've never seen kids with a guy playing basketball in the area. So I was like, flag. It was scary to me. On top of the fact that this was after Darius put us up on the lady that might have been addicted to drugs in the neighborhood. So,
well, I'm just thinking, like, what message do you want the kids to have then?
Right.
Because the black lady is okay, but the young black man is not okay.
Well, it wasn't that it was a young black man. When Dallas came, he said it was a stranger. And he automatically knew I didn't want them talking to anybody. But
anything's going to be a stranger.
Yeah, that's true. But the young black man, it wasn't that he was a young black man. It was like, yeah, I work with kids all the time. You could come hang out with me. And I'm around here. I haven't seen any young black men around here. I haven't seen any kids playing basketball nearby. And it's like, it sounds like a kid could get snatched into a van.
No, I get it. So, but I'm saying, like, how do you teach the message of you're not going to, you want them to look at black people a certain way,
Right.
but then this way where I don't. It's to me, it's confusing.
It is confusing, and it really drew my attention to the fact that I need a more balanced message. Like, I've never really had to. My lessons to them are to not be afraid of our people.
For sure.
That's my general message. But I didn't think to, and I definitely said, don't ever go in anybody's house. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do this. I definitely say those things, but and I was not about to say it was okay for Darius to go get this bike from this old lady. I just didn't think that Darius yelling out and saying, no, Day, let's go. I was like, what happened? Like, he could have just said, no, thank you. But he felt like, no, this was some real, like, this is an addict. Like, we got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And so then it came to statements about, like I told him after that, I said, hey, anybody y'all talking to, like I told Dallas, don't leave him. If he's talking to a stranger, don't leave him with the stranger to come and tell me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, y'all stay together. Or, you know, like Darius would not leave Day. So he understood that.
For
you know what
sure.
I'm saying? So there's a lot to teach, and there are a lot of things, because this ain't the same world I lived in. Like, we all hung together in big groups. We knew the people in our neighborhoods. We knew the old ladies. We knew the young men. We knew the young women and the old men. Like, we knew everybody. And if we didn't, somebody in our crew did.
Well, we got to live in the neighborhood to know those people.
Yeah.
Long enough.
And I think that just added more anxiety for me, because I'm back in a place I haven't been in years, and so many things have changed.
For sure.
It's not anything that I'm familiar with. None of the people I'm familiar with, they haven't grown up here, so they don't have a crew of friends.
And you just offer better safe than sorry. Don't talk to anybody unless we know them.
Yeah, and so
I got you.
It's definitely, and I've heard people say before, you know, they live in these neighborhoods. We move a lot more. We change jobs a lot more than our families. Our parents used to get a job and then work to buy a house and work to retirement. So you grew up in the same spot with the same friends. Our kids don't do that. So they don't have that familiarity, that factor to be able to say, yeah, I know this person or that person. That's somebody's grandmama. They don't have that. And so there were a lot of crash courses coming back here that I didn't think I would have to have, and I did. And it's like, you know, how to teach your kids to be comfortable with their people, understand how their people may communicate with them, and still keep themselves safe. Like, I don't want you to be, if they're black, then that means that everything is safe and I can always trust, because that's not even true. Like, I've had a lot of situations, well, more than one situation, with people I'm familiar with that are black, and they've taken advantage of situations with me. And I don't want that for my kids. And I've heard that amongst different friends, their families, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't want that. So I don't want you to trust everybody and feel like everybody can be trusted. But I don't want you to just run around with a blanket fear of who we are.
Yeah, for sure.
And so trying to find that in between is a little hard for me.
Well, you know what? I didn't think about how hard it was until just listening to how you actually viewed it. And how I always viewed it, and it still stayed the same. And I'm like, when I was telling you yesterday how Darius he's like learning this side of the game. Mm-hmm. And our kids won't ever be able to recognize what it looks like over there, because in order to recognize that side, you have to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
And going to visit it isn't enough to be able to say, hey, this is what happens over here.
Yeah.
You know, and Darius is going to be able to, like, I think, be able to navigate a lot better as he get older, when he recognizes the amount of exposure he has had at such a young age.
Well, definitely he teaches me about the gaps my children have.
It teaches us.
I be looking like,
oh man, my kids don't know. Shoot.
And then it's like, you can't go unless Darius go.
But
then at the same time, Darius go and he just be making some off the wall decisions. So you be like, okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah. You know,
y'all got to go all together. All three of y'all go together.
Yeah, they will make the best decision for all three of them.
For all three of them.
If everybody participates in the decision,
rules
yes.
And all votes, yes. We will be covered if that's the case.
Yeah. But I will say that it's like one of those things where people talk about street smarts and book smart. Like the necessary information to be street smart is when you live in it, you know? And if you are one of the fortunate ones to get out and to be able to like transfer and assimilate into this side, you can play, you know how to navigate in both sides. I mean, you're going to be so much more successful than people that can't get in the other side successfully. And I just, look, we're about to leave, but I want to live. So my son, this is when we were in Abu Dhabi now. Look, I love basketball. I love the game of basketball with all my heart. And my son is at this international school, so I pick him up from school. And he talks about basketball, and I'm like excited. And then like maybe a couple weeks later, we do this thorns and roses thing. And so I was like, you got any roses? He tells me, and I was like, thorns. He was like, nobody wanted me to play basketball today. And I was like, what happened? He was like, well, at the beginning they were picking me, and then now they don't pick me. Oh, I said, they realize you're not good. I was like, they just picked you because you was black and they thought you could play basketball. Aww. And I looked at him. I was like, don't worry. You don't practice. You're not supposed to be good. And he's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, what do you say? I said, no, literally, like they only picked you because you was black. You're like American black. He was like, and he doesn't understand. Like he was literally getting picked first. And then nobody wants him to play because I've seen him play. Aww. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be a little bit more fluid.
And, that I will say that is my fault. But he never cared. And I know my wife was like, you should just take him out there. But it's like one of those things. I never wanted to force them to do something that I wanted them to do more than they wanted to do.
Well, I think, but that's something like, it got to be a certain level of working knowledge, just like they need to learn spades. Like,
oh yeah, I get it. But I'm saying basketball. Look, like I told you the other day, like I remember, like one of the best compliments I just realized was recent that my father gave me. I remember when he came to see me play freshman year, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were good. I didn't know you got good." And I was like, in my head, I thought he was so disrespectful. But then when you see my son, and I'm like, oh, he remembers when I used to play like this. And I realized that I had worked to the point where he was like, oh, I can come watch you play. And like, I'm like, this is my son type thing. And I was like, thought it was a form of disrespect then. And I was like, dang, because he definitely didn't help me get good at all. So it kind of changed my mind. Like, I learned the game of basketball without him. And I became good enough for him to say, oh. And then it just, like I'm telling you, my son is, he got a long way to go if he wants to go that way.
He does other things well.
Oh, yeah. He does a lot of things well, for sure. But, we're just talking about the something that I was praying for.
Yes. He said praying for him, but not, yeah. So anyway, how are we going to end this?
I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been supporting us. It means a lot. It really does. We're growing so much as a married couple, as friends, as parents. And you guys are watching it. You know what I'm saying? So whether we have one listener or we have, 100 million listeners within a year, that's my goal. Because I just feel like we have really good conversations about trying to grow and become better people. So I thank all of you guys for your support. It means a lot. Shout out to all of you. Anything you want to say?
Ditto.
Yeah, so make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or else that action will get after you.
Boom.